At the US Open in Flushing Meadows, drama unfolded that had the entire tennis world buzzing. What should have been a routine handshake at the net turned into a fiery moment of confrontation between Latvia's Jelena Ostapenko and America's Taylor Townsend. Ostapenko, who had just been defeated 7-5, 6-1 by the American, appeared unable to hold back her frustration. As Townsend approached the net for the traditional handshake, words were exchanged, and those words carried a sting. Ostapenko seemed to accuse Townsend of having no education, repeating the phrase not once, not twice, but 3 times, as if determined to make her point heard in the echo of the stadium. Townsend, composed but firm, clapped back with a line of her own, telling the Latvian that perhaps she should learn how to take a loss better. The clash, raw and unscripted, sent ripples across the stands. Fans gasped, commentators scrambled, and social media was already on fire before either player had even left the court. Townsend, choosing to rise above the confrontation, turned to the crowd, lifted her arms, and asked for noise. Noise to celebrate her win, and maybe even noise to drown out the bitterness of her opponent's exit. Ostapenko, without so much as a glance back, packed her gear, got into a waiting car, and disappeared from the tournament grounds. Now, if you're feeling the tension of this rivalry and want to keep following moments like this, trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Make sure you hit that subscribe button right now because this US Open is delivering drama like never before. But the story didn't end there. Moments later, in her on-court interview with ESPN, Townsend revealed exactly what had been said in that heated exchange. She explained that Ostapenko told her she had no class, no education, and even made a remark about what could happen when they played outside the United States. Townsend, smiling but fierce, reminded everyone that she had already beaten Ostapenko in Canada, far from American soil. Her message was simple. She wasn't afraid. On social media, Ostapenko tried to explain herself. She posted that she had only called Townsend disrespectful for failing to apologize for a net cord shot that clipped the top of the net at a crucial moment. In her view, there are unwritten rules in tennis, one of which is to say sorry after such a lucky break. But Townsend saw it differently. She told reporters this wasn't her first time facing such behavior from Ostapenko, who has a reputation for showing frustration after losses. Townsend wasn't about to shrink in the spotlight. In fact, she said the moment reminded her of what's most important, showing respect, representing herself with pride, and setting an example for her young son, who might one day see how his mother handled this very public confrontation. Townsend spoke with conviction about being a strong black woman, proud of her culture, proud of her journey, and determined to carry herself with dignity no matter what insults were thrown her way. The sting of Ostapenko's words, she explained, wasn't new. She understood the painful stereotype behind being called uneducated. But rather than internalize it, she flipped the narrative. She said the best answer she could give was with her racket, by moving on to the next round, earning her place, and continuing her fight in the tournament. Ostapenko, on the other hand, faced backlash online. Her comments were labelled by some as racially insensitive, with messages accusing her of racism flooding her inbox. She denied those accusations firmly, saying she had never been racist in her life and that her remarks were purely about tennis etiquette. Still, the cloud of controversy lingered over her, and her frustration was only magnified when she criticised Townsend's warm-up style, calling it unconventional. Townsend, amused, brushed that off, explaining that she had always warmed up that way since her junior days, and that it had nothing to do with gamesmanship. For her, it was just another example of Ostapenko looking for excuses rather than accepting defeat. And so, as Townsend moves forward to face her next opponent, she carries with her not just the momentum of a big win, but the weight of a moment that resonated beyond the scoreboard. In a sport where mental toughness and respect are as important as skill, This clash became a test of character. Townsend passed that test with pride, reminding everyone that strength is not just about power on the court, but also about grace under fire. And before we wrap up this chapter of drama, let me just say this. If you're feeling the energy, the passion, the battles both spoken and unspoken that define this tournament, then don't just watch from the sidelines. Hit that subscribe button right now, join the journey, and stay with us for every twist, every upset, and every raw, unforgettable moment the US Open brings. Because as Townsend herself said with confidence, Ostapenko may be packed up and gone, but she's still here, still standing, still swinging, and still writing the story that matters most.